Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with the finale of Season 2 of the F124 Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at HAAS Marina. Of course, what might well be our last ever race for HAAS inside this series. Funnily enough, at the time of recording this, I don't know yet as to whether we're going to get a drive with Ferrari or anybody else for that matter. For all I know, we might get sacked and next season we'll be kickstarting things in IndyCar or something like that. But of course, yeah, quickly, before we dive into this one, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for the support throughout Season 2 of this series. I'm going to take a break tomorrow. I'm going to have a Sunday off and then Monday we will be back with pre-season testing from the Sakhir International Circuit as well there. But yeah, really hyped at the end of this season. We've actually still got a little bit to fight for as well. Luckily, we're pretty safe in the Drivers' Championship. We need to outscore Aston Martin by 10 points here if we want to try and beat them to 5th overall in the Constructors. I believe last season we ended up in 6th place overall in the Constructors come the end of the year. And, even better than that, I have scored more points this year, which is always reassuring knowing we're stepping in the right direction as well there. It is basically us versus Aston Martin is one of the only fights heading into this final weekend of the year. So if you're new, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are mighty close to 130,000 subs. And yeah, let's head out then here for the final time this year, maybe for the final time ever, in our HAAS car.
It's the start of the last race weekend of the year. It's time for practice here in Abu Dhabi.
Well, funnily enough, for those of you that have been keeping up with the My Team Career Mode over on Matsu2 gameplay,
distance is on your MFD.
2 seasons I've been racing a Formula 1 car now, Mark, and he still doesn't think I know how a DRS zone works. But yeah, we actually needed 10 points as well in that series to try and beat, I believe it was Alpine, come the end of Season 1. So 10 points seems to be the magic number when I come to HAAS Marina. Unfortunately, yeah, we won't talk about that race because nothing happened at all. So I am hoping that this weekend can be a little bit more entertaining. You know, if we leave, I ain't going to miss the HAAS Formula 1 team. But I certainly feel in terms of that fight with Aston Martin, myself and Fernando Alonso really do the heavy lifting throughout most of the season. The Aston Martin driver could still theoretically jump me, but he would need to win with fastest lap, and I would need to not score at all. So, tall order for Fernando Alonso, but we'll wait and see. Well, my pace as well can be quite temperamental around this Abu Dhabi circuit. It's not one, even with the new changes, that I ever feel I'm particularly strong at, but, you know, we've got to try and deliver another good result here tonight. You know, Vegas and Qatar were both 2 really good races. I would love to maintain that momentum into the season finale, but let's just say I'm not exactly holding my breath as trying to get my ERS program done, just not quite able to match the delta time that we need. We'll put that behind us though, and I'll join you guys in qualifying.
Welcome to qualifying. It is time to have some laps at the limit in Abu Dhabi.
As the sun sets then on another Formula 1 season, the sun has also set here around the HAAS Marina circuit. I will never quite understand how they made the first 3 or 4 corners of this track so good and then ruin the rest of the lap. It is admittedly much better now than it used to be, but still a long way from a good Grand Prix circuit. It just feels like there's no flow ever around this venue in a Formula 1 car, no matter what I try and do with it. Just never a circuit that I particularly enjoy driving on. But, you know, we've got to put that behind us. We've got to try and deliver here in qualifying there. A little bit of a snag of the rears down at the first chicane. We've done all right. I guess it's the only chicane now on this lap, which is a little bit weird to think about as well, because of course they've removed obviously the one that's at the end of this straight there. Yeah, time's not looking great at the moment. Only a 10th up on Magnussen, and it's normally this final sector I really struggle to roll the car through these final couple of corners though. We'll wait and see what the time's going to be on the board. Struggle with rear locking through that final turn all practice. 23.9 puts us P13. Good enough for Q2, but not much better. P13 is not good enough for me to feel confident that we'll immediately see ourselves into Q2, so leave ourselves with just 1 set of tyres to try and get through the second qualifying run. We're going to try and use a little bit more battery this lap, see if we can extract a little bit more pace out of the car. Didn't feel like I was bad with it that time around. There was Ocon now who goes quicker than me, so we got almost on the bubble then. Ricciardo just improves but not good enough there to get himself up into P15 provisionally. But are we going to see any of the other runners improve, or are we going to have the pressure removed from ourselves? I think we're safely through anyway. P14 in the end, though, yeah, it's not comfortable, especially when you look at the pace we've had in the car recently. But yeah, I think we did forget to use the overtake mode, didn't we? On the first run there, finding a few tenths of a second. And hopefully we'll find a little bit more around the rest of the lap. We're still really struggling with the brakes here. It's a very dusty circuit, so it's difficult to find that ultimate grip. While keeping the lap time then a little bit tidier here as we make our way in towards the final couple of corners. 4 tenths up at the moment. This is quite a decent improvement, actually. So we might have a bit more pace in the car than I realised. P9 at the end of Q1. We are right on the cusp of Q3. Charles Leclerc fastest then. I mean, even there, we're only, what, 7 tenths off a pole position at the moment, so not too disappointed. It is Ricciardo, Sargent, and both Kick Saubers once again out in Q1. Alex Albon, I didn't realise that, but he improved right at the end of the session there to safely put himself into Q2. Well, times continuing to be improved then by our front-running drivers. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen out into the low 1-minute 22s. We need, I think, a 23.6 provisionally if we want to see ourselves into Q3, so we need a few more tenths of a second here. Lance Stroll is a good few tenths from the Mercs in front of him, though, so if he's able to improve, maybe even that time won't be good enough to see us into the knockout round there. But yeah, I hope Ferrari have noticed as well. In a bit to try and make myself look more presentable to the team, I have actually gone and got a haircut ready for this final race of the year as well there. So, you know, it's the little things that hopefully make the difference. And maybe, you know, I've lost a bit of weight as well, which is going to give us that edge as we head into our last-ditch run here at qualifying. It's a bit difficult to tell. I never really know how well a lap's going around this circuit. But that time around, we didn't lock the rears up, which is fantastic news. Well, this final sector definitely seems to where we lose a lot of time relative to the rest of the runners. Absolutely chuck it in to the corner before the hotel. Oh, a little bit wide there. Had to get out of the throttle slightly as we got understeer out over the curbing. Thought we saw yellow flags out temporarily, but apparently not. One more corner to go, and again, just not quite getting the car dialed where I need it, up towards the line. It's still a 23.1. We go P6. How did I manage that? I think we just used more battery. Well, there we go then. End of Q2. Yeah, again, 7 tenths slower than Charles Leclerc. I think you've just got to use all of your battery down both of the straights, and that's how we were able to find a load more pace there. Alonso P9, but we are genuinely close to where the pace would need to be to try and overhaul Aston Martin in the constructors. We saw last year here, Max Verstappen came to Abu Dhabi, and after a really rough second half of the year, still wrapped up the world title, but just decided he was going to remind everyone who is the king of Formula 1 currently.
Left in the session.
He has now suddenly dumped 3 tenths on Charles Leclerc's head as we move into this final qualifying session. So maybe the Dutchman once again just wants to remind everybody else what he's capable of in that Red Bull. We're, though, just solely interested on the lap time that I can deliver come the end of qualifying. We've seen pretty much everyone else now is into the 1-minute 22s. As, Fernando Alonso bumps himself way up the order. Max Verstappen, a 1:21.9. The Dutchman is in another league at this stage of the game there, is trying to avoid the wheel spin on the exit out onto the second of the back straights. Again, this lap's felt pretty good so far. Pretty decent representative against the last time I did in Q2 there, as a 10.5 up on Oscar Piastri. I mean, we're just going to try and wring the neck out of it, haven't we, through this final sector of the lap. A 22.5 though for the Australian. If we could go a 10.5 quicker than that, I would be absolutely amazed. Let's just try and keep it tidy under the hotel. I tried to short shift him in a 4th gear there, but that actually increased the wheel spin on the exit of the corner. One more to go after that one. Let's just try and get it back to the finish line then. Horrible understeer again. They're out of the final turn. It's a 23.0. It's P9 on the grid. Honestly, we're happy to make Q3. Yuki Tsunoda there, a pretty good effort at the end of the season. Just a 10th away from Charles Leclerc. He will line up on row 2 alongside Lando, Norris. Fernando Alonso, though, is where I need to finish in the race if we want any chance of beating Aston Martin overall. I think we're probably going to need 4th or 3rd, to be honest. He is looking racy here. Not my best lap in the world, though. We definitely threw a bit of time away in Sector 3, so hopefully we're going to be in the fight with Alonso, Piastri, Perez and Russell.
It's the final chapter of the season then here at the spectacular HAAS Marina circuit. It's a race where the pole sitter failed to finish in 3 of the first 4 events. A front row start here is by no means a guarantee of victory. We go into battle once more then as we get underway at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at HAAS Marina circuit through 21 corners and a lap distance of around 3.4 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, turns 8 and 11. Plenty of close racing then, plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he will start from pole position. And it's Fernando Alonso alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Oscar Piastri, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon, Joe, Russell, Sargent, Perez, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Sainz, Magnussen, Verstappen, Leclerc, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. We welcome to the commentary box Anthony Davidson. I'm Alex Jakes. We're both looking forward to a really intriguing race today. Well, it's the last race of the season, but there's still plenty to prove out there. How important is getting the right mentality for this season closer?
Yeah, a lot of races to cover, but it's the same for the drivers. It comes at you thick and fast, and you've got to pace yourself as well to get to this point in the season. If it has gone your way, it's a great time to just enjoy it. There's nothing that can change in the championship pecking order, of course. If you've won the championship already, go out and enjoy this race and send yourself off through the winter break. If it's been a bit of a year to forget, you can try and take a bit of solace in this Grand Prix, end on a high and carry that energy into next season.
Okay, mate, final day of the season. Everybody in this entire team has worked incredibly hard to give us the chance to get a good result today. I need you to do your bit and go out there and bring it home for us.
Hang on a minute, I've got to do my bit. What about Hulkenberg all year that's delivered exactly nothing of any value to the team? I've had to put this team on my shoulders, and if I get that call up from Ferrari, I will walk out the door quicker than you can ever try to make an argument otherwise. 9 drivers with grid penalties, though, I think is a record I've ever seen on this game. So we're up to P4 on the grid, which is rather impressive. Verstappen and Leclerc right at the back. Dare I say, we might be in the fight for the win here today. Medium to hard is going to be the way to go. 29 laps ahead of us as the sun sets once more here on HAAS Island. Alonso lines up P2 though. We have got our work cut out. It is 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out and away we go. Pretty clean, tidy getaway. It's Fernando Alonso straight to the lead at the front of the field. We're going to try to look down the inside of Oscar Piastri at turn 1. And both McLaren cars losing out then off the start of this GP. I think everybody sensed a good opportunity here to try and cause an upset to finish the year with a big result. And Lando Norris, of course, taking that win last time in Qatar. I'm sure would love to try and go back-to-back almost into the rear of the McLaren down at turn 5 there as we just try and get the car slowed down. But a pretty good start then. Not often do I make up places down towards turn 1, but just got the hook up. Had the confidence there to have a look down the inside of Piastri as Fernando and Lando again. Try saying that 10 times over side by side into the chicane. Now we got Formula 1, I believe. Yeah, they're obviously the oldest driver in Formula 1 versus one of the youngest. Still a lot of experience, though, on Lando Norris's shoulders now. It's always impressive when you think how young he was when he came into F1. But, yeah, I'm happy with that start. We'll see how things settle in early on. Often our qualifying pace here has been better than our race pace. How many times have I said that this year? Well, I don't think Lando Norris is going to spend much time waiting here. Immediately again to the outside of Fernando. They make their way down the back straight, and yeah, luckily the straight here is long enough that you're able to make the move happen quite easily now. Admittedly, yeah, never was quite so easy in real life, was it? That old hairpin was horrible at splitting up cars. Already, though, Hamilton's dropped out of the range of Oscar Piastri. Mercedes' pace has been really odd towards the end of this year. Some weekends they've been flying, other weekends they've had nothing at all. The man that's just overtaken him, though, Yuki Tsunoda, we have beat in the last 2 Grand Prix. Surely if we make it 3 in a row at the end of the season, surely Fred Vazier's going to come a knock-in. It's only lap 4, but we're already starting to see some gaps opening up and down the order. The new patch has worked quite well with that. I'm happy that it's not just one big train of cars anymore, because it did make things very, very boring. Speaking of things that aren't boring, Fernando Alonso again back down the inside of Lando Norris for the lead. I think either way you look at it, anyone inside probably your top 5 here, it would be quite a popular win. Even your top 6, Hamilton's still there. I think people would love to see it, but these two squabbling really is allowing us to keep close, and unlike Qatar, I do think we have actually got pace to get ahead.
Okay, mate, Norris just ahead. Push for the position. We can't let them hold us up for too long, so let's try and get past as soon as possible and crack on. Push, push.
Oh, what? Excuse me, Lando Norris? Yeah, there's no track out there, sir. I still hate the fact this circuit arcs around slightly to the left there, just because there's a car park on the outside, fun fact. If you didn't know, that's genuinely why the track narrows in there at a horrible, horrible point. It's because they wanted to put a car park in that side of the venue. As they always say, you know, build the car parks and then build the track around them. I guess they do say that in Miami. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer. That's why you don't talk bad of oil money, I guess. They're sabotaging me. Well, I mentioned as well last weekend that we have 4 cars battling for the win. So far here, it looks like we've got a group of 5 of us then, as Lando Norris, that McLaren, so quick in a straight line. We saw this last weekend with Charles Leclerc. He was unable to get past him very easily back down towards turn 1. The Aston Martin seems to be having the same struggle, but it was more useful for me when Alonso was in front, because, yeah, that car is not as fast. Team already then starting just to get a little bit worried about the tyres here, annoyingly. Yeah, Fernando is now just upping the pace slightly. I think he's realised how fast Lando Norris is at the lead of the field. So I don't think he wants to obviously lose sight of the McLaren at the front. Unfortunately, this is also meaning we were pretty much on the limit already, and now we're just struggling to actually match the limit anymore. As we make our way through the first couple of corners, still just trying to strategically make sure we're inside that range as and when we need to be. But it feels like, yeah, we've had so many races towards the end of the year where we're hanging on for dear life in those DRS zones. And Oscar Piastri this time around, I think, has realised that. He is really starting to hound me. Well, we know we've been quicker on the harder tyres most of the second half of this year, so, I mean, yeah, we're just trying to hang on at the moment until we can make a pit stop. I'm tempted again to undercut slightly. Hasn't really worked for me in recent races, but even if we just box kind of the end of lap 10, or sorry, end of lap 11, lap 12, so come on, we are just desperately hanging on. I think that time round we were exactly a second away from Fernando, and you can see he gets close to Lando Norris, but he's not attacking him. They're working together to try and get away from me. But despite the removal of so many traction zones around this circuit, it is still incredibly rear limited. As yeah, now we've lost the DRS. Oscar Piastri, there's no real point in fighting this right now. May as well try and utilise him, make sure he stays in that zone. McLaren have absolutely got the quickest race car here, except for Tsunoda, I guess, in that Ferrari. But yeah, they're just kind of waiting in the wings. Lando's winning. I don't know what I'm saying. I just want to win, and it's just not going to happen. Well, how fitting is it then that the man that we've spent all year talking about is the man right behind us on the racetrack? Not for any longer. We're going to peel into the pit lane at the end of that lap. I just know, obviously, one of the McLarens is going to have to extend the stint a bit further than they'd like to. So we've just broken Yuki a bit away from that top group of cars, and now we want to try and undercut our way back in and hopefully be in that fight to the end. Go on, give us one last good stop.
Come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
We're going to come out in plenty of traffic, but honestly, I don't mind too much. Try and get ahead of Alex Albon and maybe even Daniel Ricciardo. Look at that. There's Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Not too bad drivers to end up battling with on this venue, but you can see immediately how big this train is. Hulkenberg's got a real opportunity here to score some points. Verstappen trying to go defensive on me. Nope, he's going to try and dive down the inside of Charles Leclerc then. Not too sure what that was all about. Somehow, oh, we're going to make it 3 wide on the exit of the corner. Leclerc's been completely screwed over on the inside of that one. We got to try and get the run on the Dutchman down this next off the straight there. I just don't want to sit behind these cars for all too long. All of the undercuts we've tried towards the end of the year haven't worked out very well. But we've got to try and make this one happen there. Down the inside of Carlos Sainz will go. Down the inside of Hulkenberg will go. We have got so much more grip. Like I said, this track is so rear limited. That, yeah, I think we should hopefully be quicker than the AI. Down the inside of Zhou Guanyu there as well as Logan Sargent P11. I believe Sargent, Zhou and Hulk are the three that haven't scored points this year. Sargent's into P10. So it'd be really funny if one of them's able to get a point. I know which one I'd rather it be. But it's certainly not the one I've got my money on at the moment. It's down the outside of Sargent. I want to actually get the DRS off you, sir.
Fuel quicker than we need to, so please let's ease off and make it last.
Down the inside of Sargent there after we baited him out for the DRS. They call me Fernando Alonso because I keep getting beaten by Lance Stroll. Oh, here we go then. Now we're going to get an idea of whether this has worked against Alonso and one of the McLarens. I believe it might be Oscar Piastri. No, that's definitely Lando. I hope that's Lando. He's that far in front of him as Lance Stroll just in front of me. Still there is Lando Norris. So our X-Race leader, is he going to be out ahead of me? Yes, he still is. But, importantly, we've got the gap over Fernando Alonso then. So that's really, really critical here. I can only assume Alonso got held up in the pit lane as down the inside of Lance will go. Don't see moves very often there, do you? Apart from that one very obvious one. But I'm happy just sitting with Lando. I can sit here for ages if need be, as long as we keep Alonso at bay, as the other Aston Martin clearly feels otherwise. Down the outside will go Lance. Back down the inside we will go. Yeah, good luck with that, sir. And there we go. Our last car's into the pit lane then. So just to get confirmation, it is going to be myself and Lando Norris back at the front there. Oscar Piastri's done well. He seems to have got the undercut. I, though, annoyingly, have instantly lost the DRS. I hope not. We might just do for one lap, but I'm going to use a load of overtake down the back straight. Yeah, Alonso got well and truly screwed over. And everything going on in the pit lane. Not too sure what happened to him. Must have got held up with Lando Norris. But if we can leave those two to fight, just going to try and get myself back under the 1 second mark to Lando. Oh, that's good news then. We're back inside the range of Lando. I mean, yeah, we're really trying to look after this second set of tyres. The hards, they're definitely much more flexible. They can, you know, you can stretch them really long in a Grand Prix if you need to. We seem to work quite nicely with them in this year's game. But, yeah, all eyes, though. The big focus is don't lose the range to Lando, which, again, how do I immediately go and lose it despite the fact I had DRS? I cannot stress this enough, just how much I don't want to finish P2 for the third race in a row to the end of this season. We've had a lot of momentum. We've had a lot of good races, but everything towards the end of the campaign just seems to be preventing me from getting a third win on the year. I mean, we won 2 night races up to this point. I think the only night race we didn't win so far was, in fact, Las Vegas. Oh, and Bahrain, I guess. But clearly, yeah, we're very, very good at the night races, but good enough isn't going to cut it tonight. Lando Norris now pulling away. I feel like, yeah, we're going to drop back into Piastri's clutches. Come on then, Oscar. Making a McLaren 1-2. We know it's going to happen. There's not really a lot I can do about it. Lando Alonso, though, seems to be dropping away ever so slightly there. And, yep, there goes the McLaren. So, clearly, yeah, they've got so much pace still in that car. Maybe now looking like they could be fit to fight for the future. So we try and put the power down. I just cannot afford to lose the DRS immediately to yet another car. Well, I don't want to speak too soon, but Oscar Piastri's pace here looks pretty racy at the moment. The gap to Lando Norris is just coming down ever so slightly. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but could we see the Australian actually claw back to his teammate here towards the end of this one? We can give him a bit of a hurry up. It looks like his DRS is open. I don't think it is. I think it's just a bit of a graphical bug, but Piastri looks fast. Well, you know that bit where I said I didn't want to speak too soon? Yeah, I think that's exactly what I did. I think I might have jinxed Oscar Piastri here. The gap's not going back up, but it's certainly not really coming down at all. I'll be honest, the other thing I'm quite surprised about today is that, well, we haven't had an engine failure since Shanghai. Basically, we had 2 engine failures in the opening 5 Grand Prix, and then since then I've not had a single problem with it, which I'm pretty happy with here. But 5-6 laps to go of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're just hanging on at the very worst on 1P3. I would love to try and snooker back P2. Oh, hello, Fernando Alonso. Big dive down the inside at the end of the back straight there. I knew it was getting close, but I wasn't expecting him to get that kind of run on me towards the end of this. We can wave goodbye to Oscar Piastri, but here comes the Spaniard. Obviously, one of my other big rivals throughout most of this campaign there. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin. And well, suddenly it looks like we've got to fight for the final podium place.
Position, trying to keep focus.
Oh, God, I can't say all this about how I don't want to finish P2. I still want a trophy. But if I have learned anything from the last few Grand Prix, it's that if I want to try and hang on to cars, it's probably in my best interest to try and overtake them again before it's too late. Down the inside of Alonso, we're going to try and have a bit of a look. Oh, as he just spots me there at the last moment. He's actually going to try and switch me off the exit of the corner, though. Fernando Alonso, a wily old fox. How many times have we said that on this year's game? As well, give him a little bit of a squeeze out. We do move back up, though, and into P3 here with a little bit of a drift. To remind him, he might be the one with more experience, but we are the one with more skill. Controversial take? Probably. I don't think it's going to be that much of a defence there. Alonso clean back around the outside once more. I mean, at least we're getting a good fight in right towards the end of this Grand Prix. Luckily, both cars seem to be lacking a bit of top-end speed there, which is helping me out, because that McLaren, we saw it last weekend as well, at the hands of Lando Norris, is an absolute missile. I'm sure Yuki Tsunoda just waiting in the wings, hoping he can try and close in on the pair of us. Here is down the inside again will go. And again, Alonso will read it. I mean, we are just firing it in there. I'm sure the Spaniard is not too best pleased about it. And again, we're down the inside. We'll try and give him a little bit more room on the outside that time around. Oh, we run it a bit deep in. But Alonso, again, can't do anything. This is brilliant right towards the end of the race. Surely third time's the charm then for Fernando Alonso. This time around we're going to try and actually start making work for it if we're still there into the braking zone. Oh, which we just about are. A little bit of rear lock in there. So the Spaniard will move through. But again, we should be able to get the power down off of the second part of the chicane. And hopefully this time around it's going to be even easier. I mean, look at that. Fernando Alonso trying to give me the biggest of all the squeezes here. We're just over...
Okay, we think the underbody's incurred some slight damage, but nothing too serious at the moment. Just be careful.
Well, that's a bit of a shame. Alonso clearly fancies getting the elbows out more than I was expecting, and has resorted to cheap tactics right towards the end of this one. We will do the same then. More wheel banging with the Aston Martin. Is all. We are just starting to let the back end slip around a bit too much. Yuki Tsunoda is now well and truly nestled in this fight. With 1 lap to go, we have dropped away so much from the McLarens. We can't beat Aston Martin in the championship unless Alonso fails to finish. But 1 more lap to go then here from Abu Dhabi. And finally, we have got a fight on our hands. Will it be a potential final podium for the HAAS Formula 1 team? I mean, for all we know, it might be Aston Martin's last race with Fernando Alonso at the helm. We don't really know what's happening with other drivers before this season is down and out. Got to try and get on the throttle off of the hairpin and stay as close as we possibly can to that Aston Martin. I don't think we're going to be close enough down this straight to get the run, but we might be able to hang close and get the run down the second of the back straights once again there. Thinking about having a look down the inside, but not quite there. Tsunoda, what's he going to be able to do just behind me here as McLaren? They were a little bit lucky with the grid penalties for others, but they have clearly had the pace over Tsunoda, Alonso and ourselves this afternoon. As Alonso, oh, again, he tries to move at the last moment. This time around, we won't run it deep into the corner. Alonso trying to get right the way around the outside. There's more wheel banging between myself and the Aston Martin as he opens up the door down in towards the final few corners. Tyre wear warning light has just flashed up. Park it on the apex there as Lando Norris through the final corner. He is going to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Back-to-back victories for the Brit. Through the final corner. 3 podiums in a row for ourselves. It is P3 in Abu Dhabi. Thank you, HAAS Formula 1 team.
Yes, mate, that's it. The season's over, and what a season it's been. Really great effort from you. The whole team is really proud of you. So thank you for a fantastic effort. See you back in the pit lane.
The wait is over. Lando Norris takes the checkered flag.
And of course, what 3 race victories, a hat-trick of wins, does for a driver's confidence is huge going forward in the championship. You know, they've got the energy on their side now, and it's for the others to try and stop this progression of victories.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
There we go. Lando, Norris and Oscar Piastri, a McLaren 1-2 to finish out the year there. Like we said, they were a little bit helped by a lot of grid penalties up and down the order, but they had the pace at the end of the day. And Lando Norris, back-to-back victories to finish off the campaign. Is he finally going to be a championship threat next year? We got the elbows out with Alonso at the end. I'm sure he'll have felt that was very hard racing, but hopefully, you know, we can try and have more battles with like that with the Spaniard in the future. 3 podiums in a row to finish off the year after we hit a bit of a lull. I'm really, really happy with that. And are happy that we finished the year in such a way there. Tsunoda P5 ahead of Perez, Hamilton, Ocon, Russell, and Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10 there. With Verstappen, yeah, his swan song race this weekend, not quite the result he would have wanted. I am sure of that. Taking a look at the championship standings, we come through for P7 in the end, nearly 30 points clear of Fernando. They're actually, again, closer to Oscar Piastri by the end of the year than we were to the Spaniard behind there. Only 34 points back from Yuki Tsunoda, despite the fact how much better his car has been right the way through the campaign, though. Verstappen, as we said, though, your Formula 1 world champion. Perez, despite how much we thought it was going to be a fight between him and Verstappen all year, it was actually Leclerc that was able to split the Ferraris when all is said and done. Norris, a brilliant recovery after 3 DNFs to kickstart the year. Beats out Tsunoda, Piastri and myself there with Alonso, Russell and Lewis Hamilton. 2 points in it between them as Lewis barely scored in the final quarter of the campaign there. Gasly gets the jump on Stroll. Sainz beats Esteban Ocon with Daniel Ricciardo, Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen with points on the board there. Hulkenberg, Sargent and Zhou Guanyu all failing to take home any points this year. Red Bull absolutely dominating the constructors once again. They beat out Ferrari and McLaren there. Mercedes ahead of Aston Martin, 7 points in it come the end, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be for ourselves, with Alpine, VCarb, Williams and Kick Sauber rounding out your constructors order. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back. Like I said, we're going to take tomorrow off. Monday, we will return to Bahrain with pre-season testing, but who are we going to be driving for?